And we are back. We are going to go ahead and proceed with the final segment of this series on how to make an octopus for a preemie. And at this point, we are going to proceed with making the tentacles. We've done everything else already in the previous videos. We're going to do the tentacles, and then we're going to finish off the tentacles. We're going to go over a few rules along the way, and by the end, we will have a friend for this little guy. So we're going to set him aside for now, and then we're going to go ahead and do the tentacles. So we've already attached our plug. And so at this point, what we're going to do is we have 16 single crochets or 16 stitches all the way around our base. And so what the plan is to make a tentacle, come all the way back down, and then we'll single crochet in one stitch and then on the next stitch, and then we'll make another tentacle, come back down, single crochet and then one stitch and single crochet in the next, and then come back up and then come back down and then blah, 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 all the way around. We end up single crocheting in every single one of these stitches. We do not skip any. Okay, so we're just making a tentacle between every other one, all right, or over every other one. So on the tentacles, we just yarn over. You know, there's no need to yarn under on the tentacles. Okay, I'm gonna count, because if I don't count, I'm gonna forget. And you know, it's like I'm like everybody else. If you're talking to me while I'm counting, I'm just gonna count louder. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 8, 39, 40, 41, 42. That's how many I usually do. Now, let's talk about the length of the tentacle for a second. The tentacle at the end of the day needs to be between 6.3 and 8.5 inches. If you're shorter than 6'3", any one of the tentacles is shorter than 6'3", your octopus will not pass. If any one of your tentacles is over 8.5 inches, your octopus will not pass. You put so much hard work into the head that to have a failing tentacle, and I've had failing tentacles, is just heartbreaking, because it's completely avoidable. For a long time, I would just do my 42 stitches, and that was it, and I would just trust that it would work. And you know what? At the end of the day, what I realized is that I'm not super duper consistent on my chain. Like sometimes I am, but sometimes my hands might be tired and my chains might be a little bit longer, and so that beginning chain might be longer. So what I shoot for, ultimately, I do the 42, but then I measure it. I measure each and every tentacle now. I measure it because I hate that one, just because of that one that was not passing. And so if I'm going to stretch it, okay? And as I stretch it, it can't be longer than 8 inches for me. That's my target, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? You see that? I'm at 8 inches. So what that means is that once I put my single crochets in, once it curls, yes, it's going to shrink up a little bit. All right? But what I know, because I cleaned many of these, is that when you cook them, the fabric loosens a little bit. So even though it shrinks down right now to about 7 inches, after I cook it, this will actually reach out to almost 8, but it will never be longer than my beginning chain. So I stick it at 8. That means that my cooked, finished, cleaned octo, that tentacle will not exceed 8 inches. You follow me? All right, so that's why I measure each one. And I do highly recommend that you measure each tentacle because it's just a shame. It's just a shame to have a tentacle fail. And if it's too short, it's not gonna, it needs to be a certain length so that it can reach the baby, okay? And it can't be too long because we can't have a strangulation issue. So that's why they came up with that magic number of between 6.3 and 8.5. Now that's you know, that you get almost, you know, 2 inches, a little bit over 2 inches to work with, you know, of give. So I'm confident that everybody can get it, you know, within that. So I've got my 42 chains for me. That's 42. On the second chain from the hook, I'm going to single crochet once. Once again, we do not need to yarn under. I'm going to single crochet one time on the second chain from the hook, and then from here on out, I'm going to do 2 single crochets in each chain, using the top loop or the back loop only. It is important that you keep your chain straight, that you only crochet on the same stitch all the way through. If you don't, your tentacle will not curl. It is also important that you use every chain, that you go in every chain. So if you start crocheting and you start going in 2 in every tentacle and you start losing that stitch, that next one, you got to be careful. Make sure you don't skip it, because if you skip it, it will not curl. It will look weird. So if you have a problem finding that next stitch, get yourself a marker and put the marker on the next one. You know, before you work this one, put a marker on this one. Follow me? Okay. Markers are our friends, especially in the beginning, because we're learning and we're trying to figure out where everything is supposed to go. After a while, you will get used to where everything is supposed to go. If your chain is super tight, you will have squeeze out of the next single crochet, and you may skip it because it's been squeezed out, because when you're putting 2 single crochets in one, it squeezes out that next one. It makes it a little bit harder to see. So if you consistently have that problem, maybe make your chain a little bit looser. All right. A super duper tight curl, for me, it isn't absolutely necessary. Reason being that, you know, the baby's hands are small. So I want to be able to have, you know, some space in between. When they pull that tentacle out for that baby to grab on there, I want there to be a little space for them. So, you know, I know that the pattern says you can do 2 single crochets or 3 single crochets in each loop. Personally, I prefer the 2 because it gives me a little bit of a skinnier curl, and that to me seems like it would fit a baby's hand a little bit better. Does that make sense? I mean, are you with me? You know what I'm talking about? So, so we have, you know, so I would recommend, personally, the 2 single crochets in each back stitch. That's just me, you know. So, once again, and I know I've said this before in other videos, we cannot have any knots in a tentacle. Let's say I'm, you know, going along, happy-go-lucky, whatnot, and a knot shows up right here. Let's say it's a factory knot because I didn't go through the process of balling everything into individual balls that do not have knots in them. And I have a knot here. And I'm in the middle of a tentacle. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Well, you only have one choice. You have to pull everything out and go back to the beginning. You tie, you join your yarn here at the beginning, and then you weave through the ends, through the head, which is really kind of cumbersome thing to have to do. And then you have to restart. Okay. I inspect each tentacle very carefully. If I see a knot in here in the middle of the tentacle, if I see one, ain't gonna be used. Okay, so that's just an absolute no. So just, you know, like I said, that there are you know, after, you know, I don't know, over 2 years of doing this, I've learned tricks that avoid these things, and that's why I highly suggest that you use my method of rolling up in the skeins into balls and removing all of your factory knots just ahead of time. Makes life a lot easier. Plus, I just like working from balls. I don't know. I mean, the skein is cool to work from sometimes, but and it's certainly like instant gratification. I can start right away. But, you know, at the end of the day, once it gets really small, then sometimes it tangles, you know, because the way you work from a skein is typically from the inside. And I'm not a huge fan of tangles at all. I just like things to be easy, nice and easy. So, you know, we are approaching to the end of this one tentacle. I know this isn't all that exciting, and you're like, okay, I get it, Irene. Are we really going to go through all, there's a little fuzz ball there. I'll get rid of that. Are we really going to go through all 8 tentacles? No, we're not going to go through all 8 tentacles. I'm going to go to the end of this one, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to change colors. Because that's going to simulate, let's say you did have a knot or something and you have to join another, you know, you have to join, you know, reconnect. Let's say you want to have different colored tentacles. Let's say you want to, you know, one this color, one pink. In fact, I'm going to do that on this one. Why not? I haven't done that, but some of the other ladies in our local group, they've been doing that, and their octos are so cute. You know, that they have multiple colors, and yeah, it's a little bit more work, but man, they put so much creative effort into their octopuses, and I mean, I'm just so impressed with what they've been able to do, and I just know that there are going to be several of you that are watching that are going to be able to do that also, and oh my gosh, it's so gratifying. Okay, so we're down to the back, and a question often gets asked, what if I have a hole? That's okay. That's okay. That hole's okay. You see that little hole right there? That hole's okay. Holes in the tentacle are okay because there's no stuffing in the tentacles. The reason we have these super tight where there are no holes is because we have stuffing here. We can't have the stuffing come out. The stuffing has to stay in. So here we can have a hole there, not a problem. You can have a hole when you attach here. I've seen where sometimes people attach, you know, their single crochet down. We're down to the next one, right? So we already did on that one. We're going to go to the next one. And then I've seen where, you know, maybe they make it kind of loose there. And then there's a little hole right there at the base. That's okay too. You know, that's not, I mean, I prefer it to be nice and tight, but that's okay. I mean, that's not going to fail your octo. Okay. So just keep that in mind. So let's say I want to change color. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that for a second. So I'm going to go ahead and single crochet in one. And then on the next one, I'm going to pull up one. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and cut my yarn here. I'm gonna set that aside. Let's say I want to do one of the variegated color and then one in the pink. Okay. So now here I'm gonna go. Remember we did the joining on the last one, but we're gonna do it here as well. We got enough. We need to have a kind of a little bit of good amount of yarn on your tail because you're gonna have to weave in these heads, these ends through the head, and then go ahead and pick up your new color, finish off the single crochet. That was our second single crochet, and then you can go ahead and do your tentacle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to stop right there. I know I have 10. I don't have to recount those. It's a nice even number I can remember. But we've got this to deal with, right? So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and tie these two together. Nice little music for you. Probably should put some music on so you have something entertaining in the background. Okay, nice and tight. Now I got these two ends to deal with. I'm going to go ahead and take care of those right now. I might as well do that. I'm going to have to do it at some point, and I'm really not a big fan of doing multiple weaving all at once, so I'm going to go ahead and just do them as I go. I'm going to go ahead and stick it through here. Make it everything nice and tight. I'm going to go ahead and go through the plug a couple of times. Go in there. Through there. time. And go ahead and go again. Well, this time I'm going to go through the plug. I'm going to go ahead and push all the way through. Let me see if I can use this. I have yet to get myself a tool for this part of the process. I really need to find a good tool. Oh, you know what? This might work. It has a hole, so just push it and find a sweet spot where it just wants to go through. Ah, there we go. And you see what I mean? It's really, really tight. And I mean, you can see why I'm not a big fan of weaving stuff through the head, because it's so tight. And you go right back through the same hole it came out of. You go right back in that hole, and you go across. Follow? Okay. Pull. Probably gonna end up bending my needle at some point. There we go. And then I'm going to push that through again. I'm using the back end of this little hole there. So push it through, you know, 2-3 times. It's in there. It's not coming out. I mean, it's just so tight in there. So you pull it through. Okay. Once you feel you've got, you know, 2 or 3 times through the head, go ahead and you're going to go ahead and grab your end, grab your scissors. You're going to pull it. You're going to pull it kind of tight. It's going to pull the yarn out a little bit, and then you're going to cut it. And then what happens is when you release it, it goes right, like the loose end goes right back into the head, and then it stays there. So that's basically it. And we're going to do the same thing with this other one. All right. I'm so excited, guys. I've been wanting to do these videos for a really long time, but I always said I would get a real nice manicure before I did them, and well, I just don't have time for manicures. And then I got people calling, wanting videos for this and wanting videos for that and wanting to see things, and I said it's time. It is time to get these done. See, that's with like single crochet, so I want to make sure I don't hide it, so I know it's there. Go back through here. That's good. Go through one of these. Knot it. That's good. I'm gonna go back inside. Go around it one more time. There it goes. Once again, let's go right through that same hole. This hides. See? I lost it. Frayed edge over here. Somebody get rid of that. You see what I mean? That you really do need to make sure you have enough tail to work with. One more time, and that'll be good enough for this one. There we go. Okay, and then once again, pull, and then it just kind of goes right in there. There's a little bit of a fuzz there, but it will go away. There it is. Okay, so now we have the new the pieces in there. No loose ends. Everything's inside the head. Everything's happy-go-lucky, and we can proceed on with our next tentacle. I go on with that tentacle, come back down. Let me do that so you can see that process one more time. I'll be right back. Okay, so I finished this tentacle, and you know, I did 42 stitches in the pink, and it was a little bit long, longer than 8 inches, so I, you know, ended up doing 40. So even, you know, just different yarn will end up giving you different results. I'm pretty sure my chains were about the same as the distance as the other one, but what I'm noticing is that the pink is a little bit fatter than the variegated. Can you see that? I mean, it's really shouldn't be, but it's just, I think the yarn itself might be just a little bit thicker. I mean, if that's possible, I guess it is, but anyway, that could be why some of you have noticed that, you know, your heads are bigger than, you know, they should be, or that they normally are, like with different yarn, you find that you have a bigger head. And it could just be a matter of just the yarn itself is just a little bit thicker. So that's fine though. And once again, it doesn't matter how wide the head is. It's the length that matters. Okay, and we do have a pretty good amount. So I'm down at the end of the tentacle. I did 2 on the very last one, and so I'm gonna go ahead and find my next single crochet, which is it's right there, and it's like really because I tied. It's kind of hidden, but I'm going to go ahead and do that one. And then I'm going to switch back to my other color. My variegated. Right? Give myself plenty of room to work with. I'm going to go ahead and come on, attach, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the 10, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, I'm not going to go through every single one of these. I think we've already got the idea, right? I mean, we're going to go through, we're gonna tie this off, we're going to hide the yarn inside the head, going to weave the yarn inside the head, and we're just going to go on and on and on and on until we finish the next 6. I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to show on the video the very end of this, so I'm going to pause this video, and I'm going to see if I can resume it. If not, I'll have to splice 2 videos together to finish this video off, but you know, hopefully it all works out. But I will keep working on this, and then I will be back to show the finished octopus. So I've gotten to the point where I've finished the 7 tentacles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and now I'm on to the last tentacle. I've gone ahead and done the chain, and now I'm just going to finish up the last few. Once again, remember, you're going to want to single crochet back loop only, keep your chain straight, don't let it twist and turn, and don't skip any chains, because then it won't curl right. So just a few more left. And now on this particular octopus, I've been changing color from tentacle to tentacle. I don't normally do that. Normally I just use the same color all the way throughout. And you know, just a little bit ago I showed you how we have to retie everything at the base, you know, when you switch colors, or you switch from, you know, one yarn to another. And you know, I will have to tell you, this is the first one I've done where I've just for demonstration purposes have alternated, and I'm not a fan. But I mean, if you all, it's a lot more time, because you have to weave in the ends after every change, and it's just you know, it's a little time consuming. So I personally, probably from now on, just going to stick to just one color. But if you want to do alternating colors like this, you know, it is super cute. I do like it. It's nice. It's just it's going to take a little bit more time. So just remember that. Okay, so I'm down to the very end, and there's one stitch left. That's number 16. You know, so we're going to go ahead and stitch for that particular one, and then we're pretty much done. I'm going to go to the next one, which is actually the base of the first one. I'm just going to pull up a loop. I'm going to pull it through that one. It's going to slip stitch. Okay, I'm going to get enough of a tail. I'm going to cut that off, put that all away, and I'm going to go ahead and just pull all the way through to lock up that one. So now we're going to go ahead and just finish off hiding the tail. Let me see if I can see this. Goodness. There it is. Okay. So we'll go back through here one time and go ahead and tie it one more time. I did a slip stitch, that's good, and then with that knot, that's even better. I'm going to go ahead and stick this through right here, bring it up one of these stitches, and pull that through. I'm going to go ahead and stick that right back in, maybe the adjacent one, just jumps a stitch. I'm going to angle it towards the wall. I'm going to pop it through, pull, make sure I don't grab any tentacles along the way. Look at there. Okay, it's just going to get hidden right there, and that's one time. We're going to go ahead and go through it one more time. That's, here's number 2, and you know, 2 or 3 times, you know, is good. Just to get back through one more time, and that should be sufficient. There we go. Now we're just gonna, with scissors, there. We're gonna just yank on it a little bit, push the head down, and then clip that off, and then the tail just goes right back in. And guys, voila, we are done. We finished the entire octopus. And you know, as you can tell, things we're going to be looking for are going to be holes. We're going to be looking for any loose threads. No loose threads. We're going to be looking for knots. Cannot have any knots in the tentacle. Measuring, obviously, you know, want to make sure that everything fits within the required specifications. After I clean them, cook them, and dry them, when I'm ready to package them is when I will really stretch out. So how much do I stretch out the tentacle? I pretty much stretch it as far as I can. So, you know, right now it's stretching to about 7 inches. It'll probably go maybe 7 1/4, close to 7 1/2 after it's been cleaned, because the hot water will loosen the thread. Some more than others, just depending on the kind of color, I guess. Like I said, the solid colors, they tend to be a little bit thicker than just a tiny fraction. I mean, it's barely noticeable, but and I do think that these will probably stretch out a little bit more than these will. So, and that's it. Now we have a friend for this guy. And now you all have a better knowledge of how to get these done. And I really firmly believe that if you put your mind to it, you can get it done. And if you can make, you know, booties or, you know, hats, and you got strong hands, then I really think that you can make these. And Once again, make sure to take a lot of breaks and stretch your hands and move your shoulders and everything. But that's about it. All right, so I hope this little video series has been able to assist you in getting a better idea of what's involved and give you some tips on being successful at making your octos. God bless.